Welcome to another episode of CROSSTALK.
CROSSTALK. You get caught up in the
CROSSTALK.
CROSSTALK.
Crossing over comments deep inside your soul. Make 'em cross over crossbones. Fuck your mortal soul.
That's on you, folks. Third episode, third time, without an intro. We have sent out a call to arms twice beforehand and twice on deaf ears.
Make us a song.
Or else we're going to keep doing this. So, I don't know.
The voice guitar had to go away because the drum roll on the toms and the crash cymbal in the end.
It sounds amateur. It just sounds amateur, and we want profesh.
If you don't know, this is our mini show called CROSSTALK, where we talk about the comic book crossover exclusively. We've done past episodes where we've talked about issue 1, issue 2, a tie-in called Solid Blood.
16.
16, is that what the number was?
I think so. It was one of those ones.
Yeah, 17.
Something in the teens. But we're back here today to talk about crossover 3, probably the most highly anticipated of the most talked about
Most talked about,
Yeah.
for sure.
of the crossover books so far.
It almost had hype level of like cyberpunkness.
Epic
of, like,
proportions.
Yeah.
Because it was this book, the preview had a Spawn variant cover.
Yep.
And it had a shadow of a Shogun
Or a Gundam.
or Gundam, I guess. Shadow of like, so it's like, oh, are they going to bring in that universe there?
Yep. And on on Twitter, DC was hyping it pretty hard. DC, Donny Cates.
I was pretty confused.
He's a close personal friend, so we can call him DC.
DC.
And GS, Jeff Shaw.
Yeah, and I guess so Donny Cates himself said number 3 is the book to get, and number 6 he's been and he says like this, number 3 and number 6. So
So number 6 we don't need to be as excited for, but number 3 we're pumped on.
So before we get into it, number 3. Where were hype levels at for number 3 for all of you?
9.
Yeah, I agree. I was hyped to about a 10.
Okay, so we were bubbling.
There were 100,000 copies ordered of this, which for anything past like a first issue
Yeah.
of an indie, like nuts.
That's a ton.
I preview ordered this like 2 months ago.
So did
thinking,
I.
thinking I wasn't
Same.
gonna get it. Yeah,
Okay, so with no spoilers, after reading it, where's the hype level?
6.3.
Ooh, that's a dip.
We can do points. I'm gonna say 8.
Okay, so
I-
not that much of a dip.
I didn't dislike it. Just gonna say.
It's honestly, it sounded like you did. You
I'm
went
sorry.
from a 9 to a 6.3.
Just because this is that weird thing. That's why I'm comparing this to Cyberpunk, where it's like I kept playing Cyberpunk in the shadow of the hype, which it never lived up to. And the hype of this book was just like, I kept on being like, what is it that's coming? And I'm like, oh, that's it? And like, it wasn't bad moments, but it was like, I don't know. I didn't have the 9 of my hype.
Interesting. So I started out at like a 7 because I'm just like, no. You're not going to trick me, DC. I know
okay.
what you're doing. And then at the
Calling him DC.
DC is so confusing.
Yeah.
DC, Donny Cates, DC.
I get it. It's just we also have a podcast that covers comic books where a word that we say
okay,
it's
so-
DC a lot.
Donny C.
Donny
The
C-
Don.
Okay, both of those are
Yeah.
better.
So
Yeah.
the Don's on Twitter. He's like just hyping this thing. I'm like, okay, I don't trust that completely because A, your job is to hype your own book, and B, issue 3 seems a little too early to drop something like huge. But after reading it, I went up. I was at like an 8.5, 6, 2, 3, 4. Like I loved the ending of this book,
The ending was amazing.
but I loved who was at the end of the book.
Okay, so it did a little bit less for me. So maybe that's where we're on the hype train.
yeah.
So let's go into those things then. What was expected and what happened? There was a Spawn variant cover, no Spawn in this
No
book.
Spawn showed. I expected Spawn to show up this issue.
Yes. There was Gundam / Shogun being previewed. That did not happen.
Well,
kind of did.
Okay. To get technical, it may have happened, but it was a mirage.
illusion.
Yes. So it's not a reoccurring character.
Mhm.
But something rad that did happen. Doctor Strange was in this.
A Doctor Strange reference was in this book. Yes. The word Doctor Strange appeared 3 times.
Boom, nailed it.
The Marvel character
I-
Doctor Strange, however, did not appear in this book.
I like that they let you believe that it was Doctor Strange
Loved
for like
that.
more than half the issue. That
Yeah.
was fun.
Donny Cates being an amazing writer had no influence on my score because this book was still brilliant.
It was
Right.
great.
It we-
So we gotta talk about what we're referring to with this Doctor Strange thing.
Yes. Okay. Sorry. Yeah.
Which Donny Cates created a character that shares a lot of similarities with Doctor Strange in a Dark Horse series called The Paybacks.
Mm-hmm.
And for whatever, I don't know if it's because it was a creator-owned series or he talked to the publishers and the people at Dark Horse and gave him the okay to use those characters that he created on that publisher.
Uh-huh.
But they were able to show up in this image book. So I was not expecting cross-publisher characters to show up so literally.
Well, not only did those characters show up, he also said Dark Horse
Yes.
Yeah, he did.
in the image book.
Yeah.
And referenced that it was a canceled book.
Uh-huh.
And said, you can go buy the collection right now.
And he like he did this thing where it's like he's kind of making fun of himself, but he's also like he's
That it
Donny
didn't-
he's Donny Cates. So I'm like, does he mean this? He's like, well, but people that know about Paybacks are going to be really excited to see these characters in this comic book.
Yeah,
Right.
he was like,
All 2 issues.
like this is fun and all, but if you had read Paybacks, this would have been awesome.
We both read Paybacks. I didn't. No offense, Don. I didn't quite remember it. I remembered liking it.
Same.
And like I kind of was like, oh, those were like funny characters, right?
Mhm.
That's about as the extent that I remember.
Okay, so that's a question I want to ask. I didn't read Paybacks, but you
Mhm.
guys did. What were they? They're obviously like a superhero team.
It's like an A-team superhero team.
Yeah.
A-Team being an 80s TV show. Not like an A-list or A-Team of...
Well, I think the fact that they like scoot around in a van
Mm-hmm.
and
But they don't take themselves serious.
Yeah.
It's like it's very like comedic. The other thing about it, which I was pulling up the old issues,
Mhm.
they have like Mark Waid, they have Gerard Way, like commenting about how great this book is. That Dark Horse is pulling all these quotes. It had probably steam or hype at the time
Sure.
about it, and a lot of the references, it felt like it was like a Chip Zdarsky book. Like the quotes were like being like how zany or weird it was.
yeah, there's a character called Night Knight.
Who doesn't ride a unicorn? That's the Gerard Way quote.
Yeah, I think there was a unicorn in the
Yes. Yeah.
in the first issue, but Night Knight is not the character that rides the unicorn.
Ha!
So he was
That's
just
funny.
like, that was my favorite thing about it, was that it like that makes sense in like some sort of context at least, and they didn't do that.
Is
So-
there a character named like Blood Pocket or something that was in the... He looked like Shatterstar from the X-Men. He had like the headgear and like the pockets and stuff.
I have such a loose recollection of this. Mike and I went through, or sorry, Budget King and I
Thank
went,
you.
went through close one. Went through our Dark Horse boxes today,
Mhm.
and I realized I had 2 copies of the first issue. So good for me. And
I have
Is it
I have the first and second appearance of Dr. Black.
there you go.
spelled with a Q?
Yes.
But I don't have additional issues. I only have the first issue. So this is like one first issue I read that I was like hyped on enough, I guess, to buy a second.
Did we cover it on the
copy.
show? How old
you
is this
never
book?
buy a second copy.
I almost never buy second copies of things.
I kind of feel like we covered it. No. This is before the show. I feel like.
It's probably before
Interesting.
first issue club.
Yeah. So anyway, if you were stoked on a random ass Dark Horse book that got canceled
Then this
before
book
Donny
was
Cates was like
great.
had hype, then you were delightfully surprised. I think the headline here is that cross publishers were able to enter into
Mhm.
here, which we have not done yet.
Nope.
So they somehow figured that out, and that's really cool. And Payback's not a bad book, so it's like a fun. I don't know that I need to see them past this book,
Mhm.
but it was fun that they were in this book.
So should we get into the story of like what
What actually
is
happened?
going on?
Yeah.
So Elle is transporting this comic book young woman
Mhm.
that is from the first 2 issues.
Comic book young woman.
Comic book young woman, because I'm
C-
forgetting her
CBYM.
name at
We'll,
the.
we'll
at
call
the-
her CBYM moving forward.
CBYM. The Don wrote it. We probably shouldn't call him the Don. That's like almost too Donald Trump.
Okay.
Way to bring it up.
Yeah. Donnie C was fine then. Is that the one you want?
The Catesonator. So the Catesonator's right in this issue, and they're transporting the girl to like a safe location because they can't stay where they're at because they're trying to not be hunted down.
They're trying to get her back in the bubble,
Right.
which is not really a safe location.
No. But, and you find out, we're jumping all over the place.
Oh, no, I love this. This is one of the best things.
That Elle's secret plan is that she thinks she can go back there and find her parents. Is that what you were going to say?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But
That is context.
I love that Ellie has motive.
Oh, is it Ellie? Is that how you say it?
I think it's Ellie, right?
Yeah, because it's ellipsis. It's short
Yes.
for ellipsis. So it's probably Ellie.
But
Katinator, get at us. How are we supposed to pronounce this thing?
But yeah, I love that she has her own motivation for getting inside the bubble. But one of the things that I don't think we got an answer to that we know now is that the superheroes put up the bubble themselves
Yes.
to shield the outside world from them.
Yep, because they were bombing them.
Right.
Or could be bombed. Like the potential of being bombed, right?
Ooh. Well, they did make a pretty cheeky reference to Watchmen in that
Oh,
game.
God, I love that.
It was a very direct reference to
the
Watchmen.
first 3 pages of this book are a critique and reference to Watchmen. I fucking loved that because it's basically saying like this book that supposedly changed the world, you may have seen it in TV form, movie form, or comic book form, or heard your friend tell you about it.
They dropped a giant squid on New York City, like they walked through the plot line.
Yeah. And then they like kind of talk about how like the reverse was the problem here is that superheroes are here thinking like humans are gonna nuke us.
Yep.
And it was beautifully written. It was wonderful. Like this is Donnie's, or sorry, the Catesinators Caterade magnum opus. He is doing everything he wanted to do to the comic book industry and talk about it. He had to reference Watchmen. And
Yeah.
he did it great. And he probably this is not probably gonna be the last time that Watchmen gets referenced in this comic book. Yeah, and so I think it's the other thing that came to fruition here is that in book 1, they do like a side panel with Ellie and the preacher's son, and say
They're gonna fall in love.
They're gonna fall in love, and that essentially starts its course in this book.
They kind of meet and join forces at this point.
Yeah.
Yep. And we find out that the preacher's son actually really does enjoy comic books, but
yeah.
just the indie stuff.
Yeah, he read Paybacks. He's kind of a snob.
He read Payback. I forgot he read Payback.
He's kind of us.
Yeah. Do we want to just jump to we're kind of jumping around the spec and like the hype and stuff like that. So the big reveal, the character that is essentially the biggest character that's been crossed over in crossover
Directly. There's
Yes.
allusions to it in issue 2 with the jail scene of all these chained up and jailed superheroes.
You're seeing their like arms and
Sure, nothing too direct, and they can kind of get away with it
Yeah.
with copyright.
We kind of thought that it wasn't going to be this, but it was.
It was Madman,
Yes.
Yeah.
the Mike Allred and Laura Allred creation, which is a personal favorite of Caitlin and I's. Well, I actually have Madman's first appearance, Creature of Id #1, which is a fucking grail for me. And
Now,
this-
was that book on Dark Horse?
No, okay, so no, that was like on Abstract Press, which is like an indie pub.
Okay.
Way, way, way in the 90s. Like,
Yeah.
it's a very hard book to find. Haha. But to see, because in issue #1, we get this drawing of what we think is Superman.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end, the young girl, what is her fucking name? Because I can't just keep calling her young woman.
CBYM.
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 So the CBYM
Comic book young woman.
goes, oh, there he is. And Madman's just like, oh, that is a picture of me. I don't really like capes, though. And you just get a full frontal of him in his Madman costume with the zigzag on his chest.
Which
the
looks like
lightning
an
bolt.
S, yeah.
And it was just like this moment of just like, you brilliant fucking idiot.
And it's like, oh, it wasn't an S. It was a fucking lightning.
It was a
bolt.
lightning bolt. Cadenator, you're killing it right now.
That was great.
It was a really good reveal.
I kind of wondered if people were going to react disappointed to that because they were like, oh, it's not Superman, it's an indie character. But I loved it.
Can you guys think about this? We dip into a website quite often. Comic Books Heating Up is a website we go to for various like.
It's for spec news.
Yeah, it's all spec news. This is a book they're choosing to preview and ruin to like tell you about. They normally do it for like, oh, check out this random ass Thor character that we get revealed here, or Venom actually shows his kid here. They're saying this indie book that Donny Cates is writing is worthy of them like spoiling for you because it's so hot. The speckers need to know what's happening in it.
Well, yeah.
That blows my mind. because this is also just a solidly just like good book.
Mm-hmm.
It's a cultural phenomena, is what's happening right now,
Mhm.
and it's a fun moment to be a comic book fan, and we're seeing that trickle down to the secondary market, when the spec market of just like,
I can't believe
mean,
Paybacks was worth anything after this.
I know, but and Mike D just said it in the beginning of this episode. This already pre-sold 100,000 copies for number 3 for an indie book. That's fucking ludicrous.
Mm-hmm.
That shouldn't be happening. And so we talk about how Kirkman's saving the comic book industry. Donny Cates right now is sure helping out the indie pubs.
Yeah, he is.
So I think it's just fun. It's great, and to see one of my favorite characters maybe playing a larger role in this book is like just super fucking fun.
Another thing that happened in this book that like gives a little bit of depth here is Ellie's character is explaining to the comic book lady that they're transporting about cosplaying, and her character constantly cosplays, so we get a little bit of like interaction or look into like her love for cosplay and why
Yeah.
she does it, and she does romanticize cosplaying, and it was good writing.
So her cosplay is even better because it's like a rebellious form of cosplaying.
Yes.
Because in this world that the crossover is set in, superheroes are demonized,
Mm-hmm.
and so she's wearing this cosplay as a superhero as a form of rebellion of just like, listen, I support this. I want to be a part of this culture.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I think it holds. I mean, cosplay in our world is huge already. There's cosplay conventions. Like you can't go to any kind of nerd gathering without someone being dressed up as something. So it's its own thing now. We saw cosplay come up over the years, and we're just like, oh, that's kind of cool. And now it's just like this huge
Yeah.
conglomerate thing, and it's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Donny Cates ever cosplayed?
Sure. Oh yeah.
You do?
I've-
He might. I mean, he might have been too much just quick into the industry and fanboy to like, because like, no offense, but we don't cosplay. I'm
Mhm.
not opposed to it. I've always
I've
I've
dressed
thought
up.
about it.
I've thought about it too, but I get too much caught up into like I gotta have these comic books in my bag and I gotta like buy this shit that I'm like, oh, I forgot to get
We're
a
on
mask.
a mission when
Yeah.
we get into it.
You,
Yeah.
you got to be sneaky though with your cosplay if you're gonna do that. Because one year I dressed up as Shaggy from Scooby Doo. That's an easy one to do. You wear red pants and a green shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Boom, I'm Shaggy.
Then
I can
these-
still wear my backpack and get comic books. I'm not dressed like fucking Galactus.
But then
with a huge headwear.
Then do you spend the whole con taking pictures of people if you cosplay?
No, because no one knows you're fucking dressed up as Shaggy except the people you came with as
It
a fun
doesn't count
joke.
as dressing up if no one knows you're the character.
That's not true. I know. That's enough.
Nah,
Okay.
you can't say you've cosplayed.
Well, then my Tommy Pickles will have to be changed this year
We should. That's a 2021.
If you wear a diaper,
with a screwdriver in it.
yeah, then people will know.
We should commit to cosplaying someplace.
Who would you cosplay as? Donny Cates?
I'm gonna have to lose this like COVID 30 pounds I gained before I put any spandex on.
Oh, you know, it'd be a fun cosplay if we like got cardboard and made like the little MODOK rig for our heads, and just our heads were
Oh,
MODOK and
yeah.
we dressed normally.
We should be Human Centipede.
We did that last year, but not for cons.
I want somebody. Does anybody wear overalls? I like wearing overalls.
Mario.
There we go.
Lenny from Mice and Men.
Often cosplayed literature classic.
That's the new next revolution.
Nick from the Great Gatsby. The narrator.
You can wear whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah. I don't know. Cosplaying
I'm
is good.
Scout from To Kill a Mockingbird. Oh my god, that's like probably such a meta subculture of cosplay. It's just like,
Fucking stupid. The whole time you would just be explaining yourself.
I'm the fish from A Fish Called Wanda.
Book solid. It's not dropping off. It's amazing. Did you want a roundup of it? It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Would recommend.
There's a roundup. Yeah, give me a rating. Number.
So I
We
gave you
started the episode with this.
what I gave you. I gave you my rating of like hype to
Okay, so we're good.
enjoyment.
So we don't need that.
No, but overall, like enjoyment, every book's been at an 8 or above, and I believe we'll continue to do that.
9. I paced around the table after this one going, oh man, whoa.
Holy shit.
Madman did that for you?
Yes.
Mad Men did that for me. 100%.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, I'm not as big a Madman fan, but I was like, cool.
Great twist and great reveal.
Had it been Spawn, I would have lost my mind.
So that's what I'm gonna ask. Number 6, he says, is the next hot issue. Who do you think's gonna show up, or what's gonna happen in number 6?
Could be anything. Yeah.
I bet it'll be a Walking Dead.
Walking Dead's a good guess.
They're gonna get in the bubble, I would assume, at some point,
Mm-hmm.
and shit's gonna get crazy. So I don't know if they get into the bubble and it's just like cameos left and
Nutso.
right.
That would be so sick.
Also, Solid Blood has to enter this at some point.
That's who I think we're gonna see. I think as soon as we get in the bubble, we're gonna see some Solid Blood characters.
Okay, that's not as yeah,
It's
You-
funny, and like that it'll tie in.
it is awesome. If they have a panel that's like a spread, like a 2-panel shot of like they're in the bubble, and you
Mhm.
just have to like where's Waldo everything.
Oh,
And they like you
yes.
find out that they spent like all this tiny money on these tiny IPs, like $100 to Marvel to have random ass Spider Ham or something like
Yeah.
in there. And it's
I would
like,
lose it.
oh, that's gonna be so good if that happens.
I would if that happens. I suggest we all go in on the original art for that and then buy it.
Yeah.
And keep it in the studio. I think this story has nowhere to go but up, and there's just so many fun possibilities. And I hope I see Savage Dragon.
Oh, Savage Dragon would be great.
So, guys, that was Crosstalk.
It's Crosstalk.
You get caught up in the
And we're here, and this is serious. This is a serious moment. I know the world's in turmoil, guys. We need an intro and an outro.
yeah. Give us something.
I mean, this is our plea to you. 2021, we want a fan-made intro outro for crossover show that we have called Crosstalk.
We'll give you a free Patreon membership for a year.
If someone actually does it, I have some shit to give you.
Yes.
Oh, that's a great call.
You
Yeah.
will get a gift basket of fucking rad shit.
I'll give you Payback's number 2.
Right here, Payback's number 2. I'll give you some signed comic books, maybe not from DC, Catesinator,
Ins-
but
ins-
something signed.
Yeah. Instead of doom scrolling the internet,
Oh, you could also pick
make
our
us a song.
you could pick our cosplay. We'll cosplay as whatever you choose.
That's
I don't
dangerous
know about
territory. That
this,
is
yeah.
dangerous territory.
Maybe you can commit to that. I'm not.
But the cool comic books and other stuff is very much on the table. Intro, outro. Guys, we'll see you next time another crossover comes out.